What's up, you beautiful beasts, and welcome to the video where we're going to be taking a look at an upcoming zombie game that nobody seems to be talking about, but should be. First off, let's be real. Zombie games are a dime a dozen, from great games such as 7 Days to Die and State of Decay to awful asset flips that seem to plague the Steam store. Aside from Blight Survival Evolved, I'd all but given up on seeing a fresh take for the genre until a community member dropped a playtest invite into my inbox. In this video, we'll be unzipping the body bag of Nakwon Last Paradise as I stagger through my time during the playtest to show you why this urban extraction game has me incredibly excited, where it trips up, and if it's actually the paradise it claims to be. Set in Seoul, South Korea, you play as a refugee smuggled into the haven of Nakwon during a zombie apocalypse and must venture out into the infested streets to find items, complete missions, and keep your unruly blackmailers at bay, while also climbing the ranks of citizenship within the city itself, providing you with better equipment, more stores, and more importantly, better housing. Unlike a lot of games that have come before it, Nakwon isn't an open world survival game, but another entry into the new genre of extraction games. Started by Tarkov and then made infinitely more accessible by Arc Raiders, which isn't hard considering Tarkov's about as accessible as the Epstein files, extraction shooters are the new hotness, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit glad. You see, the problem with open world survival games is they quickly become a second job if you're wanting to play on public servers. You have to constantly monitor your base to make sure that you're not off-rolling raided by some utter cave troll. The new extraction genre gives me the same thrills as a survival game, but without the concern of the fact that I need to touch grass every now and then. The beauty of Nakwon, however, is that I don't lose out on the fun of building a base, considering they have a housing mechanic, one of my favourite parts of the game, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Alongside this, there's still every chance you'll get mugged off by other players, but at least it's a relatively fair fight, even more so in that Nakwon seems to have a unique way of dealing with firearms. Before I embark on my infested adventures, I'm going to need you to hand over all your likes and subscribes, and then comment down below and let me know if you got into the Nakwon playtest, or if this is the first time you've ever heard of it. One thing which blew me away the moment I went on my first expedition in Nakwon was the map. I've never played a survival game in which you're having to crawl through a dense, infested cityscape, and I was instantly loving it. Bobbing and weaving through stores, abandoned vehicles, and alleyways to avoid hordes of the creatures was an enthralling experience. There's even a solid amount of verticality, including an ability that allows you to throw a grappling hook. The movement allows you to climb and mantle over obstacles, but it's fairly slow and heavy, so you're not going to be sprinting about the city, which is both a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, I do worry that TikTok adult brains will get bored compared to other similar games out there at the moment, but it does make the maps feel much bigger and amps the tension massively when it comes to the zombies that litter the areas. Unlike a lot of zombie survival games where the zombies just become something of a nuisance afterthought, the infected in Nakwon are a genuine threat. One or two are easily dealt with, but a horde and a few poor decisions will end you up on Pornhub as you get decidedly fucked. There are also a few different zombie types that I ran into, including one which is a turned survivor who is nails to kill. Additionally, every time you get hit, you lose a small portion of your health, meaning you can't just slug it out for an entire round. Something the game does need more of, though, is noise traps, specifically for the players. While the undead aren't attracted to your torch, thankfully, they are attracted to noises. The slower you move, the less sound you make. To help navigate through the city, you can throw a rock or a bottle at a nearby car, setting off its alarm and luring a potential horde away. Similarly, a poorly aimed swing of a weapon could clip one, luring them onto you. The problem I found, however, was that it was the only instance of such a thing. Never did I have to worry about opening a storefront door only for a burglar alarm to sound, or as another example, spooking a flock of birds that drew enemies towards me. And it's a bit of a shame, as environmental hazards would certainly add a little bit more randomness to your runs, which games like this often need. Oh, and the zombies aren't attracted to in-game voice either. The devs said they thought that would push players out of the game and into Discord, which is fair. As impressive as the maps are and as fearsome as the zombies can be, once you learn the loop, you're pretty much set. That is, until players come into the equation. I only ran into a small handful of players because, quite frankly, I'm a massive coward, and only one of those players wanted to PvP. Unfortunately for me, I was already in the down state and he just ended me. Wanker. For both PvE and PvP, you'll be engaged in more melee combat than anything else, employing all sorts of styles from two-handed weapons to pipes and makeshift shields to even dual kitchen knives, to name a few. Each style has its own animations and combos, and there's a whole bunch of different skills for you to figure out. As you level up your character by completing missions or successfully extracting, you'll be given points to pop into some genuinely sizable skill trees. In the playtest, some nodes were blocked off, but the trees covered the following. Physical training gives you a hook ability to trip players, plus some stamina regen skills. Close combat made you more deadly in, you guessed it, close combat, giving you the ability to kick someone swiftly, usually knocking them over, and also making your attacks swifter while using less stamina. Special operations allowed you to see through walls briefly or even hide as a cardboard box, while finally, field survival dealt with traps and the grappling hook, along with some movement speed upgrades. I poured everything into close combat, but even with so much still locked off, there were a lot of diverse ways to develop your character, from stealthy backstabber to close-up brawler. During the playtest, there were two other ways for me to develop my character. First, my citizenship level. To advance this, I had to meet certain goals, such as collecting a certain amount of money and some specific items and then turning them in. Each upgrade gave me access to new stores, mission contacts, and more importantly, a bigger home. I went from a small single-room shipping container to a run-down little two-bedroom basement dwelling, and this was just the tip of the iceberg. While we're on the topic of homes, the housing system in Nakwon is fantastic, allowing me to place items and decorate my home however I wanted, including placing items I'd looted about the area. It is, admittedly, a glorified menu system and nothing more. I can't share it with my friends or create a communal space, but there was something comfortable about returning to your home rather than just a menu between raids. The final method of progression is the standard affair, upgrading workbenches within your home. These can be used to craft items for use in and out of expeditions. In the playtest, this was your kitchen and your crafting bench, which made food or equipment respectively. Food was important to keep your hunger and morale in check between and during expeditions. The hungrier you were, the fewer inventory slots you had, and the lower the morale you had, the more it affected things like stamina, infection rate, and such. I think. I was never quite sure, I just tried to keep it as high as possible. You could craft and upgrade equipment, though for the life of me, I couldn't see the point in upgrading my equipment, at least in the early game. The number differences were so tiny, it almost felt insulting. The basic steel pipe had 16.2 damage, but the upgraded version, which took some decent materials, only had 16.4, so what's the point unless I'm missing something? When it came to equipment, there was one thing which broke the usual pattern of these style of games, in that firearms were fairly uncommon. Decent ones, at least. You could buy a makeshift gun which would only last as long as it had rounds, but finding guns in-game wasn't common, and using them seemed to be like a fairly big death sentence, as you were effectively just ringing the dinner bell. I sadly never found one in my playtime, but honestly, I'm kinda glad. It's oddly unique to have a survival game where it isn't just an arms race in terms of guns. While the melee weapons do get better as you progress, I'm happy for the change of not waiting for that rat to tap me from his hiding place, and if he does, he now has to compete with the locals who are out for flesh. From what I could tell, if you extract with guns or ammo, it's actually taken from you and you're reimbursed with some money in return. But beyond a menu, I'd never had evidence of this, so I could be wrong, but kinda wild if I'm not. With all this said, Nakwon was missing a few quality of life things during this playtest that I'd like to see, such as a way to track items I'm after for projects. I'd also like to see a ping system for when I'm playing with friends, but I'm not about to lose sleep if that never happens. There are 4 game modes where you can play solo or up to 4 players, and yes, there will be a PvE mode. Before people get into it in the comments, I don't give a shit if you think that's a bad idea. I don't care about the PvE and the PvP discussion, as it just boils down to petty squabbles of us versus them. And as far as I'm concerned, that's ridiculous. If everybody enjoys the game, we all win. One little aspect I'm a little concerned about, however, is how they're going to monetize this game. I asked on Discord and was told I was getting ahead of myself, but I feel this is a valid concern with games these days. There will be a season pass as we see it in the menu. The developers state it will only be cosmetic items, which still kind of worries me as it is a Korean developed game and they're not exactly known for their low-key cosmetics and staying on theme. Personally, I'd be happy to pay for this game and have cosmetics, but I have a sneaking suspicion you'll be able to buy a premium currency, as there's a strange shop tucked behind a merit currency. It could just be paranoia, but I've seen this pattern too much to not be a little bit concerned. Overall, Nakwon Last Paradise looks like a genuinely solid addition to the extraction market. It's a slower paced, melee focused, zombie filled outing which I'm actually excited for. While it's not doing anything new, it's different enough to feel fresh but familiar. I finally had something of a zombie experience I always wanted, where even a handful can be a problem, and I need to worry about who to trust. I hope they build on the solid foundation that I saw during the playtest, which ran great while having friends and me enthralled in the loop. Will it replace Arc Raiders? I fucking doubt it, but it will be a fun other offering when robots get a little bit stale. I'm still more excited for Blight Survival. Have you played Nakwon? What did you think? Am I full of shit? Let me know in the comments after you've finished liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.